That's the sort of thing that's been going on, but we start here. So-called Blade Runner Oscar Pistorius is a world-famous athlete who overcame disability to become a Paralympian and hero to millions, starring in glossy, life-affirming commercials like this. His girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp, was a tall, blonde socialite model and celebrity due to appear in a fluffy reality show. Now, Steenkamp has been killed and Pistorius is at the centre of some of the most sensational news coverage in years.
Oscar Pistorius charged with shooting dead his girlfriend at his home. The Olympic and Paralympic star will appear in court tomorrow morning. It's left South Africa and the sporting world in shock.
Naturally, a murder case involving a supermodel and one of the biggest athletes in the world was irresistible to the media, and it made headlines around the globe. It was a crime story that interested the entertainment media too, who treated it as an interesting dash of blood in their overall showbiz stew.
Well, Pistorius hired a high-profile defense team, setting the stage for a real courtroom drama. His bail hearing was postponed until Tuesday. And another case with drama stamped all over it is Kim Kardashian's divorce.
As Pistorius' bail hearing began, it was clear the world's reporters could keep a close eye on him throughout, at times likening it to a sporting event.
As many eyes were trained on Pistorius in the dock as upon any stadium he's ever performed in. This on a day with as much drama in court as on an Olympic track.
Yeah, and more to discuss than any decathlon. This was a bail hearing without the full detail of a trial, but nonetheless the trial had begun in a sense, with all of us in the role of juror.
Kelly's court is back in session. On the docket today, accused murderer and Olympic athlete Oscar Pistorius.
We were treated to video game recreations of the crime scene.
He ran down the corridor and shot Riva Steenkamp, who was behind a locked toilet door.
And lengthy speculation over the conflicting accounts.
There are indications, at least, that steroids may have played a part here.
He just screams and then fires through the door. It's not plausible.
Mainly, though, the news seemed to be there simply to look at the accused and to let us get a good look at him too.
A wall of cameras to greet him in courtroom C. The Paralympic athlete still struggling to control his emotions.
And interpreting those emotions became a prime focus of the coverage.
He certainly seemed tormented at times. His hands crossed, his eyes raw.
Tell me, Adam, how far away were you from him in court, and what did you see?
I was approximately about 5 to 10 meters, and what I could see was a very somber and upset human being, perhaps realizing that the real gravity of the situation.
Most of the time, those emotions were fairly easy to read because he was crying. And the news seemed to find it important to tell us just how much and how often he wept.
Oscar Pistorius has, in the last few moments, broken down in tears.
At every mention of the word murder, the Olympic and Paralympic Blade Runner Oscar Pistorius sobbed in court today.
Reporters weren't allowed to film during proceedings themselves, but during recess they could use smartphone technology to show us the courtroom interior.
We can actually hook up with our special correspondent, Alex Crawford. She's on her iPhone inside the courtroom.
Which, of course, meant even more up-to-the-minute crying bulletins.
Every time his girlfriend's name was mentioned, he burst into tears, sometimes sobbing quite uncontrollably, his shoulders absolutely heaving.
And that wasn't the only way to keep up to date.
Well, you can keep up with the latest from the courtroom. Follow our correspondent Andrew Harding on Twitter.
Yes, you could find out when Pistorius wept and whether his shoulders shook as he did so in real time thanks to the reporter's informative Twitter accounts. There were also helpful explanatory updates on his family's emotional state.
And the group of people that I'm showing you now are the Pistorius family, who are utterly distraught. His sister is sobbing. His father is being comforted by the lady whose back you can see.
For his family, at times, the strain seemed unbearable. They held to each other for support. His brother and sister embraced after hearing the claims. His father sat consumed by despair.
When the time came for the magistrate's bail verdict, the tweeting stepped up a notch with second-by-second deconstruction of every sniffle and blub on the accused's face. Since they didn't have live pictures, they may as well have augmented their coverage with a constantly updated Twitter feed on one side of the screen and a special emotional interpreter on the other, enacting his weeping live for our entertainment. Before the magistrate gave his verdict, he shared his view on the media circus.
It does raise the picture that the accused is some kind of species that the world has never seen before.
That bit was edited out of the nightly reports, although to be fair, the magistrate did need editing. He spoke for so long and so flatly, the reporters started retweeting jokes during his summary. Eventually, bail was granted, giving us time for one last crying and shoulders update.
As the magistrate began to announce his decision, Oscar Pistorius slumped, sobbing, his shoulders shaking.
Then Oscar Pistorius swapped the glare of the courtroom for the glare of the outside world.
That over there is Oscar Pistorius driving to freedom. He's just got bail and is driving off down this Pretoria street.
And the sightseeing safari of this exotic species continued all the way into the South African countryside. When the news doesn't have many concrete facts, it's content to let us sit and look. And thanks to technology, there are more ways of looking than ever before. The end result, when you look back at the footage, is that it doesn't really feel like news at all, more a strange form of sightseeing and a gathering of emotional souvenirs.